This video is for all my international job seeker followers. I love you guys, and I will explain why I create the content that I create halfway through this video, because international job seeking is very close to my heart. But before I do that, let me shock you with a stat. If you're an international job seeker today, you have a 0.05% chance to 2% chance of securing a sponsored role in the UK in the year 2026. So 0.05 to 2%. So let's say 1%. Let's look at the middle number of that. You have a 1% chance. Now, 1% doesn't sound good. I wouldn't be happy with 1%, and I'm sure you're not either. So how is that happening? Why is that happening? How do we change it? I'm going to explain that in this video. So first, why is that happening? Why? Because there's 87,000 companies in the UK this year who are sponsoring jobs. 87,000. Last year, you had 226,000 roles which were sponsored. So sponsored positions from those 87,000 companies. Now, here's the interesting part. 1,000 companies are actually responsible for 50% of all the sponsored roles. Think about these stats I'm giving you right now. You have 1,000 companies out of the 87,000 that are responsible for over half of all the sponsored roles. And last year we had 226,000 sponsored roles. That means around 100,000 positions were offered, sponsored positions, by only 1,000 companies. So you have to think, are you directing your job search to these 1,000 companies or even the 87,000 companies? Or are you focusing on all the other companies that are not sponsoring? Let me give you another stat to think about it differently. 97% of the companies in the UK will not sponsor you. 97%. Only 3% will. So 3% is equal to 87,000 companies. Now, hopefully I'm putting this into perspective for you. If your job search, and I speak to a lot of international job seekers that tell me what their job search is like, if your job search in the last 3 months has been blindly applying, there is a very good chance that you've been blindly applying to the 97%. Law of averages dictates that you have, if not all of your applications. So if you've spent the last 3 months applying to 97% of companies that can't sponsor you and you need a sponsorship and that's your deal breaker, you have wasted 3 months of your job search. Some of you have done this for 6 months. Some of you have done this for 2 weeks. Some of you have done this for 2 years. So we need to change it. Otherwise, you're wasting your time. And I know the life of an international job seeker. I speak to international job seekers every day. I know exactly what it feels like on a Monday morning. I know when your parents call you from home, they ask you if you've got an interview yet or a job offer, and they also grill you and emphasize the amount of money they must have spent and time to help you get to the position that you're in today. You are currently in the UK. You're probably doing a part-time role. You're probably doing a job you don't want to be doing, focusing on the job you do want to be doing. And you spend a lot of time and energy and finances to be in the position you're in. So I wouldn't want you to waste that and lose an opportunity just because you're aiming at the wrong area. So how do we focus on the 3%? It's very simple. There's a list of companies that you can look at, and I'm sure you know that. But you probably have drifted away from that list, or you don't know where to find it. The .gov website of the UK will be able to give you that list of companies. But is it enough to just know? No, it isn't. What actually you need to do is you need to get these people who have decision-making ability in these companies to know you exist. Because if they don't know you exist and you apply, you're just an international job seeker who's applied for a job where other international job seekers and other local talent have applied, and a company has a resume or a CV and they make a decision. They don't know you, they don't know your company culture fit, they don't know your reasonings, they don't know why you would be the right fit. So let's just assume that you would be the perfect fit for that company. You're letting a digital piece of paper do all the talking for you. And it's not really fair, especially when you put that much time and effort into getting into the position to be able to apply to that company. So what do? Well, rather than just applying, you want to speak to people who have decision-making ability. Now, these people, they don't really care about hard skills as much as you think. Yes, they are very important, sure, but your company culture fit, your soft skills, your personality traits, who you are as a person, that matters equally, if not more, than the hard skills that you may have obtained in this country or back home. So why is that? You see, if a company is going to sponsor you, they need to know that you're going to be a good fit for the team that they've built. A company has spent hundreds of thousands of pounds, maybe even millions of pounds, defining their company culture, making sure that there's a team there that are cohesive, solid, like glue. And if they take someone on who's not going to be the right fit, it's not going to be good for the team and it's not going to be good for you. And therefore, it's not going to happen. The other thing is a company culture is making sure that you're going to stay in the role. You see, a company is going to spend thousands of pounds getting your sponsorship license, giving you a sponsorship and making sure that they do all the correct paperwork. It's more of an admin task. They have to hire more people to actually do that, or they have to pay more fees to be able to do it. If they do that and you leave after 2 months, then it's a waste of time and money. And companies don't like wasting time and money, as I'm sure you wouldn't want to be wasting time and money. So you have to look at this from a business perspective. Companies are looking at you as an investment. Are you going to be net positive or are you going to be net negative? If you're going to be net negative, you're just not going to get an opportunity. But if you're going to be net positive, you need to prove it. You need to explain how and why. What better way than doing that than actually getting in front of these people who have decision-making ability that know you exist? Now, I'm not saying spamming these people. I wouldn't send a message saying, hey, I'm an international job seeker. Please sponsor me. Do not do that. And I'm sure you're not. But just for a few of you that might be doing it, stop. What you should be doing is you should be connecting to these people on LinkedIn using ad notes, not in-mail messages. In-mail messages are a waste of time. Ad notes, if you have LinkedIn Premium, you can actually reach out to 20 people a day. Figure out who the decision makers are by reaching out to more than one person. If you're looking for a data analyst position, reach out to a senior data analyst and ask them, when it comes to international job seekers, what is the one key metric your company focuses on? Pretty decent question, right? So they'll give you an answer. Some of them will respond, some of them won't. But if they do respond, you can then validate why you're the right fit. You see, you want to get a meeting with these people, because if you get a meeting, you can ask questions like, look, judging by how I presented myself, do you feel that I would be a good fit? If they say yes, you can ask for a referral, a recommendation, some more intel to get them to help you make a better application. Because if they know you exist and then you apply, your chance of being shortlisted go up through the roof. If you apply, you're probably not being seen by a human. I'm sure you're intelligent enough to know that. A company will generate 5,000 applications and they'll interview 5 people. So what do you think happens to the 4,995 people that have applied? There's not a one random human going through every resume manually. I'm sure you know that. There's a system, and that system eliminates resumes and CVs like that. So if you put a lot of emphasis and time into making applications and a human hasn't seen your CV, which means you do not exist when you apply, you need to think outside of the box. You need to speak to people. You need to speak to decision makers who then will know you exist. You then need to impress them. Hey, here's an impressive question. You get an answer to your question. Once you get an answer, that gives you an opportunity to validate why you're the right fit. Let's say you say, what's the company culture fit like? Before I make an application, would love to know, when it comes to international job seekers, what company culture fit do you look for? Let's say you get, we look for innovative and hierarchical company culture fits. Fantastic. I'm so glad you mentioned that. That's exactly what I'm looking for. Let me tell you a little bit more about my experience back home and how I feel that I would be a good fit for that. Let's say you're able to say that. Now you exist. Now they know that you would be the good company culture fit. So this gives you an ability now to actually sell yourself much more effectively. Okay, so I want you to think about doing this, because a lot of international job seekers that I reach out to do not like reaching out to people. Okay, you don't want to bother decision makers. You don't want to bother these very busy people. And I get that. You're being polite and that's the right thing to do. But if you don't do it, you don't exist. So I would try to be a little bit uncomfortable for only a couple of weeks. Reach out to people that know you exist. You're going to be direct, but you're also going to be polite, okay? You're not going to say, hey, give me a job today. I need one right now. Don't say that. I'm sure you won't. That would be quite rude. But you want to build up the conversation so they know you exist, so you can ask better questions. The more questions you ask, the more likely they know you actually exist, the more likely you will get a meeting. And the more likely that meeting, if you ask the right questions, you can convert into an actual formal interview. Look, if you need some help with this, link in the description, reach out to me, book a call, let's get working together, and I'll help you get an opportunity within about 5 or 6 weeks. I'll see you in the next video.